Lorong, and we'll be your host for today's episode. In this episode, we are joined by Neil, a senior product manager at Workato.
So he shares with us his interests in software development and AI, which was greatly assisted him in excelling in his role. In particular, he gives his insights on how AI in recent years have changed the function of PM, altogether based on his experiences.
We have Neil, who is our senior product manager from Workato, heading AI. So you might have seen Neil in our product networking night last year as well. So Neil, you want to introduce yourself to our viewers?
Yeah, sure. I'm a senior product manager at Workato, and I've been in the role for a couple of years now, and I'm part of the product team there. And I've also kind of recently started volunteering with another cool organization called Equitech. And quick introduction about me, I guess. Yeah.
Nice.
So actually, we were quite curious about your inspiration behind transitioning from business analytics to actually product management, given that was what you actually did in your undergraduate.
There was not much thinking involved there. I think this is why I wanted to caveat it for everybody, right? For me, if you actually look through how I was going through, if you ever stalked me, I was just trying out things. I did back-end software engineering, I did data analytics, I did data science, I did like hardcore research, and then I talked to people and they were like, oh, you should try product. And I was like, sure. And so that's kind of how I ended up there. It was almost like a whim. And I was like, I want to try things out. I think it's a different landscape now than it was then, definitely. But back then it was just like, this seems interesting, could align with what I had. And I decided to go for it. Yeah.
Would you think that it's the difference will be very big compared to like previously and now?
I think like previously there was not that much knowledge about product as a role. I think like COVID, I remember you started seeing these like fancy TikToks like day in life of product manager and just doing nothing. That's not true, by the way. All cameras taken. That's not true. But so I guess that kind of like awareness kind of came out about this it's actually a very niche role, right? You have like one product managers to like 10 engineers and marketers, and there's so many more auxiliary roles for that one PM to kind of support. So I guess in that sense, and there was no NUS product club, I think, when I was in uni. So I think that itself is part of that awareness, I guess, and competition as well, obviously, kind of as a byproduct of it. So there's a difference in that aspect. Yeah.
Okay, nice. So I guess I can say that you were doing business analytics did kind of accentuate your role as a product manager now. So are there any key skills that you brought over in your current role? Or when you started off?
But yeah, for sure. I mean, like, I think there's one part of my brain that I can never switch off, which is always about like being very analytical from a data perspective, right? And that is just something that's constant, right? And also I think maybe unique to my role is I also go a bit deeper on a technical level. But there are pros and cons, right? I mean, there's definitely sometimes when you go too down in the weeds, you're not able to come back up and also just look at things more broadly, which is very often necessary, right, to have a broad understanding. And some of the best PMs I know don't have a technical background, and that allows them to think purely from the perspective of a customer or a user, which is what you are chasing as a product manager. So this helps, doesn't help. You can talk the same language, pros and cons.
I see.
Yeah. So what about you guys? Do you guys have a technical background?
I don't at all.
Okay.
I'm doing business, so I always see my parents do. They're both tech, so they're both software engineers.
Okay.
I grew up saying, I do not want to do what you guys are doing.
Okay. So now you're interviewing a product manager. Do you want to be a product manager?
I could consider.
Okay. That's fine. Yeah, fair enough. What about you?
For myself, I definitely have that experience, given that I'm from a STEM background.
Okay.
So, but I would say that PM actually offers like a pivoting route, I would say, for people that are in STEM. Possibly because some people might not enjoy the hard technical aspect of being in tech. Yeah. And I think PM offers a really.
So is that what you see for yourself? I don't want a broad statement. I want to know what you think.
I feel like it's for myself.
Yeah.
It's a way of like still making use of the knowledge I learned, the technical skills I learned, but possibly contributing in a different aspect or like
I mean, technical consulting is kind of similar as well, right? Like I think some of the people I know are that very similar background. We have a bit more of like the people skills coming in.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that actually shared some insights for our viewers about being in the PM field. So actually let's move to like your experience in NOC Indonesia.
Okay.
Yeah, during your time back in school. Since you're back on campus, let's talk about your campus time. So could you tell us more about your experience during your NOC experiences?
That was a while ago. I think I did. Again, this was just one of those things I found, and I went for it. NOC Indonesia. We think the Southeast Asia only started that year, or like a year before, maybe. And yeah, I think it looked interesting. I was like, why not? I was in year one. I was like, this looks cool. I can do a summer internship, but not in Singapore. And so I was like, let's definitely go for it. And it was one of the most rewarding things that I have done. Actually, I made a lot of great friends. We stayed in a villa on top of a hill. It was great. It was one of those things that I think about fondly, and those friends that I keep, still in touch with, right? And so I think also allowed me to kind of learn a bit more about how startups work. Right, as part of a very small startup, and just the environment that you're in, kind of people that you talk to, does allow for a very, supercharged experience that comes in through being part of, I think, NOC. And I really wanted to do a longer one, but I had COVID through my uni experience, so that was no chance of that. So I had no COVID, no exchange, and you guys were talking about your exchange, and I was just like, I could never do that. I was really things I would have done. The places I would have been, the places I would have seen. Yeah.
That's true.
Have you guys tried NOC? There's a lot more NOC locations now as well, right?
Yeah. I did try for New York, Silicon Valley, and I think Norway.
Oh, what? There's Norway?
Yes, there's Norway.
Feels so good.
Yeah. But yeah, I did try going for New York. I got a second interview, but the role that I wanted wasn't there. So I mean,
the second interview for like the company?
The New York, as in for New York location itself. So the NOC panel, like they'll reach out to you and they're like, okay, we want a second interview, and they wanted me to do marketing, but that was not I was interested in. I wanted to go into like PEVC.
Wait, they asked you to go for a role? Okay.
So like particular locations serves like different roles. So like for example, New York will have like majorly marketing roles, where other locations will have like something like finance or.
I mean, it's clearly evolved since the time I was here.
Definitely.
That's interesting. What about you?
For myself, I actually didn't apply NOC, but I think more because of my curriculum restrictions. So like in my own, my degree's curriculum, there's a lot of modules that are like semester based. So it's really hard for me to like plan like taking out modules to like go for NOC because I have to use up my UEs and stuff, and also prioritizing exchange in my own personal year. I feel like it's
that's fair. Don't get me wrong. I respect that. You gotta know what you do.
Personally, for me, I really cherish the opportunity to be able to travel the world with no worries, no monetary worries.
Wait, I mean, what do you mean? You still gotta pass your grades.
Pass
your classes, right?
It's pass fail. So it's a lot easier compared to being in Singapore, like grinding.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So I think,
Okay, that's nice.
So looking back, now that you're in PM, I heard you were in a software engineering role during your NOC time.
Yeah.
As an intern. So do you think that was essential in your PM role right now?
It's like eons ago. I've never been in software engineering since, so I would say no. I mean, I really do. Yeah, I did that like 7-8 years ago. And I mean, I can still code, right? Don't get me wrong. I think that skill definitely helps. And I mean, I can still, yesterday I was spinning up some stuff locally to test out stuff. So that definitely helps, right? But that specific internship, not really, but I just mean the culmination of my education itself, definitely, right? The other skills I picked up along the way. So I mean, it has benefits, right? But I think especially now, like the prevalence of, I have not even tried out like Lovable.dev and all of that. I don't know, man, like some of these things I really sit back and wonder, I'm like, do I really, like, especially for a PM, do you really need any technical background now? I don't know. I would argue it's that barrier is going down. Yeah,
That's great.
I think seems like you actually done plenty of internships before you go into product management. So you actually went for companies like Shopee, Carousell previously. So what are some key takeaways that you actually had working with these tech companies?
Yeah, man, this feels like an interview, like a podcast.
So,
key takeaways is come on, man. Now you guys are even ask this by actual interviews, guys.
Yeah, I feel like it's something that maybe viewers would want to know, like what are some takeaways you have, from companies of such names that a lot of the students actually always apply for.
Interesting. So caveat, I got the questions. I didn't think about the answers. That's a problem of mine. Let me think. Shopee, Carousell. What were my key takeaways? Okay, let me think. Okay, Shopee, I was in a price. I was in a. It was an interesting team that was kind of doing business analytics, and I was able to do like a pricing analytics thing for Shopee. So I would help come up with some of the prices you see, and we were running some interesting numbers to see like whether your 11-11, 12-12, how much money they make, how much money they lose. Back then, we were losing money. So it was an interesting analysis for Shopee that I was doing. They were part of the team that I was there. I learned a lot. I had some fantastic mentors there who really taught me. And it was a very different kind of way. It was not as technical. There was a lot more about like how you present your work, how you think about the problem itself, and like how you just kind of figure out how to get the job done.
Yeah.
That was me at Shopee. That was like my 6 months internship. Then I was at Carousell. What was I doing at Carousell? At Carousell, I was doing a bit more of like data engineering and BI kind of things. Primarily, I would say, helping build dashboards. And Carousell was very interesting because they had it's the strongest data culture I have seen in any organization. Like every single person thinks about data all the time, and like it is the forefront of how they do decision making. And that was really something that I learned, and I still think about is like when we talk about at work today, or like in the places I've been since, we talk about having a data-driven culture. No one I've seen has done it at that level because they were clinical about it. They really were impressive. So that was one of my takeaways for sure. So back to you guys. This is my flipping it back. You guys are interviewing me now. Have you guys done internships? Yeah.
I did one before I started uni back. So I did a marketing internship.
And you hated it, so you didn't want to do marketing again?
I didn't really hate it, but in the sense, I felt it was really application based. So it's not something you can learn in the classroom. It's like I was glad I got out there and like literally learned everything on the spot. And they were glad enough. Like I had a great mentor. Like I feel like mentorship is like something I really yearn for, especially in like internships, especially. So my mentor was great, and I learned so many things through my internships.
So what kind of marketing did you do?
So technically it was an SME. So I think they only had 2 people. So it was like we were doing visually everything. So they had physical collaterals. I revamped the entire website. So they have an entirely new website, and they're still using it in fact. So I'm proud of that. So learning mainly about UI, UX, and all that. Yeah.
Okay. What about you?
I mean, one of my internships was actually at Shopee, so I can say we are both alumni. Okay, at Shopee before.
There's way too many people alumni around here.
The amount of people that I met that has worked at Shopee before is crazy. But I mean, my role was a bit different. So I was actually in the business development area. I was actually this internship I did it before uni started, so I was quite lucky that they actually.
How much are you guys such good guys? Like how are you doing internships before uni started? I was just trying to live. I didn't know any of these things.
It was right after
hustle culture.
So right after the COVID period, I just ORD'd for army. So I was thinking, should I do a part-time job or should I just try my luck, like searching for internships? And I mean, they replied, they give me the role. I was like, alright.
So what did you do?
So actually, I did BD for Shopee Pay, which is their digital platform. So at that point, it was still at the start of it. So there was a lot of leads generation, B2C outreaching, and trying to onboard merchants onto our platform to use our digital wallet. So at that point, I think I learned a lot about client engagement, customer relationship management skills, and things like that. And it was
doing BD. Wow.
Yeah. So I mean, I feel like it was a very good experience as someone that hasn't started uni yet, because it actually built a lot of my soft skills that was actually useful in, I would say, in uni or even in my future work.
So funnily enough, I also did BD before I started for an ad tech agency, and that was brutal. I was just like, it was insanely tough work. But I kind of do it. Yeah.
So I think it's quite interesting.
So reflecting back, I can't shit on you guys. I was doing it too. Okay.
I guess, both of your roles in Shopee and Carousell probably did some, there was probably some key takeaways that will have really help you with PM. But aside from that, is there any advice you give to our viewers for probably current undergraduates who are looking for internships, so maximizing the experience right now?
Takeaways. I guess this is something I even tell my interns, the interns who come into Workato now, and I interact with them. I think it's the same thing that I think you should always do, is when you, especially because internships are usually time bound, is you should think about when you join, what are you going to be doing? Have very clear goals, 14, 30, 60, whatever, pick some numbers, come up with specific things that you will accomplish. Usually for internships, you want to be having like something which is also like a project that you can own on your site to allow you to grow. That is something that I always advocate for. It's not always possible, of course, and so you should. And I think you should think about it on the day you join. You should be like, at the end of it, 3 months, 6 months, whatever number. What do I want to have taken away from here? Like, what did like my CV look like afterwards? So think about the bullet points you would want to have accomplished, and then you can start thinking about a way to frame that with your, the person who's helped, like your mentor over there, because they're also burdened out. So you have to drive that, like, and come in with like, I want to do X, Y, Z. Why I'm interested, I'll learn, and everything else. So that is how I would think about any internship or any opportunity that you're fortunate enough to get. Yeah.
There's some really interesting advices that you have for our viewers. So, I mean, since you touched on your company, Workato, let's look at your current position right now. So, actually, do you want to give the viewers some introduction of what you do in your role?
I think first I should try and explain what Workato is. Workato is, or has so far been, primarily an integration and automation platform. And I want to caveat that by first, what does that even mean? Right? Those are just words that just come out. They really have no tangible benefit. But if you think about, let's take some real example. So universities even use our platform. It's really any domain, but I think one of our big customers, essentially what they do is every time you enroll into university, your data goes into one place, and then when transcripts are done, it's in another place, and when you take, I don't know, an LOA, it's somewhere else, and all of this information constantly has to be in sync, and there are like workflows built around that. You can do that on our platform in a completely no-code manner, and so it really kind of empowers anyone to be doing things that would primarily have been limited to developers. And so that entire platform philosophy is around democratizing access to this within an organization. So that is like primarily what we have been investing in. And now we are, because we kind of connect to all of these different applications, we're kind of like positioning ourselves also. My new work is around how to bring AI into that, because how you think about LLMs is like, ChatGPT is, it's great, it works well, but like you would want it to do stuff on your behalf, right? Like, I mean, trivially would be send an email, put something in Google Sheets, I don't know, Google Docs, and all of these other applications that you have to interact and integrate with. We already have built out that entire ecosystem. So it's just about how do you enable AI to then get access to it and going into this whole agentic domain. So that is what that is what my company does. Go back to the question again. What do you ask I do? What do I do? Okay, my AI is a super fast-moving landscape. So I have been, for the last, I would say 9 months, and today is when we launched it, we've been working on something we call Agentic Studio, which is essentially allowing anyone to build agents on our platform. Again, same philosophy, completely no code, just put in your instructions, connect with the things that you want to connect with, and it'll go and do things for you. You can talk to it on Slack or Teams or anywhere else that you so desire. So that is what I've been working on for some time now. What's next? We'll see. Yeah, I have a lot more on my plate, but yes.
What would you say is like your most memorable project in Workato?
My most memorable project is definitely this one. This one took a lot out of me. This is what got me to, I guess, probably this level. It was an insanely difficult project. It was in a domain that has, we essentially built out a whole new product. So far, Workato was like one product. We built a second product. And just so much to figure out, so much of a new market to figure out. I do have a background in AI and ML, but that just helps you some degree of the way. There's a lot of understanding how to think about it from our customer's perspective, how would the end users be interacting with it, and then executing. Right, execution is so important, and so like it's also the biggest project our company has done as a single project. And so my boss and I, and so it was insane. It was long nights getting there, but that's probably the one which has been top of mind, memorable for sure. What about you guys? So let's spin this back around, right? Memorable projects. I don't know what they ask you to do. It's like, what is something you learned, maybe who you are, I don't know. Pick your poisons.
I would say actually something that I'm working on right now as well. Yeah, so as part of my curriculum, I'm actually doing a module on digital currencies.
Oh, like crypto?
Crypto.
I'm going to say it.
Yeah.
Crypto. Got it. Okay,
So
okay.
I think it's quite interesting because we actually learn a lot about smart contracts, which is basically how.
So you guys actually develop it?
Yes. So we actually have to basically we have to.
Damn, that's cool.
Yeah, we have to code out like our own.
I don't know, now there's like so many of these like easy to use smart.
Correct. So it's a
last
lot
lecture
of
was
open
a few
source.
months ago. Yeah.
It's a lot of open sources. So I think like the school actually select a few open sources that are much more easy to replicate and to edit on. So they'll distribute to us like the open source, and we'll try to enhance it through hashing and stuff like that. Yeah, to create more layers of security, to try to understand how these cryptocurrencies work actual.
So you guys do you utilize? Sorry, I'm a bit of a crypto, so I'm gonna go. I have to enact a part of my brain which has been dormant for a while. But so do you? Which what is it called? Layer 1 do you build it on? Like, is it on Ethereum? Is it on?
Yeah, so we do it on actually the test Ethereum.
Test Ethereum.
Yeah,
right? So I mean, I was like figuring out because
yeah.
I know there's like last I remember there's like Algo, Poly.
Yeah.
There's so many of these layer L1s.
I think test Ethereum is one of the cheaper ones because actually you have.
It's not free.
It's not entirely free, because so this is one funny story. So that my group, when we're trying to do our sending our coins to each other, we have to establish a smart contract.
Yeah.
And every time you create a contract, you try to send it, activate it actually needs gas fees.
Yeah.
Which is actually the test Ethereum, and we actually send wrongly a few times. The wrong.
So the random people getting money.
Yes. So
I mean that's what you meant. Like, I don't know what you guys are doing. I'll find an address. I'll find an address for you to send it to. Send me some money to.
So we actually had to we email our prof to ask whether we could have some extra Ethereum to
Oh damn.
Yeah, and she was like, no, you go and buy your own.
I mean honestly that's fair. I wish you're not scamming that. Like you're running the greatest crypto scam of all time. Now, prof, I forgot my address. It's sent to somebody.
I feel like that's one of the more interesting projects I've worked on so far.
That's definitely super
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, very different from what you guys are interested in, but yes, something I'm doing currently as well. I'm taking a module called BSN 3703, it's entrepreneur strategy.
Okay, I was like, don't tell me module code. Like, what is this marketing for a module code? Like, what do you know? Yeah, BSN 3703. Let's go.
Okay, basically this name, entrepreneur strategy. So, as I told you, I'm a very application person. So, that
Yeah.
particular module gives me a lot of playground in the sense that I can start off my own idea and we actually pitch it to real-time investors later on at the end of the module. So currently we're working on a startup called Drivers. So you know how I'm not sure that you have a driver's license yet.
I mean,
You probably do, right? Yeah. So
I mean, yeah, sure. Let's continue.
Okay, so pretty sure it took quite long for you to get your license.
Sure.
Because how many lessons you go through. So instead of having to go down for lessons like first lesson, we're trying to make it easier by using VR to have your first few lessons so that you get used to
You can do that?
Yes, I mean bus drivers are currently using it. They just implemented it for SBS rail system actually.
So were you telling me I can get like a driver's license to drive at home? But I want to do like 20 lessons. See if you can break it down to 10.
Yeah.
So we break it down to first few lessons where you're still getting used to the road.
So were you getting permission from who's the governing authority of this?
LTA.
LTA signing off on this?
I mean, not yet.
Damn, that is cool. Okay.
I mean,
Hey
potentially.
LTA, if you're listening.
Yeah, but
You should start splicing these up because I have like great zingers for you guys.
Yeah, but I mean, I do think I want to make this idea a real thing. I mean, this is part of my module right now, so.
So right now, what do you do if it's not a real thing?
I mean, India is pitching it to investors, so we've got.
But why do you need to pitch it to investors? Why don't you just pitch it
It's
to
just like-
LTA?
No, we wish we can do that, but I guess it's really putting you into that spot where if you want to start your own startup one day, how would you go through the entire process? What goes into it, like questions you ask, really getting the market validation and all that.
So sorry, back to the more important question. Why do bus drivers do VR training?
I mean, because I don't know, they said widely like they want to upgrade their skills and instead of using skills future, I think that's a more applicable way to get them ready for particular situation they might face on road or even in train paths whenever they're operating.
So it's like simulating unlikely scenarios.
Yes.
That is what they're using it
Yes.
for. Okay.
This is a really good way to literally compress all what I said. Sorry.
No, but I think that's this is good. But yeah. Okay. Yeah, I was just like, why would you? Yeah, the buses exist. Why would you want to use VR? Okay, that makes sense. someone comes in
Or
front
like
of you.
even new bus drivers who are still currently in training. So yeah.
Okay, interesting. That sounds cool as well. Yeah, what are some other people? I'm interested in startups, but like, what are other people pitching? Curious.
I haven't really looked at the other.
My friends.
I don't
You may not cut that out. Sorry, please. Okay, let's continue.
No worries.
Yeah.
In fact, our class is quite spread out in terms of faculty. So we have people from science, business. It's not entirely business class, even though it's like under business faculty.
Okay.
So people are coming up with something environmentally friendly, something like us. Like there are a lot of like different ideas, and it's well split from the entire class. Yeah. So.
Okay. That sounds super fun. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, let's get back to
Do we have to? I have more questions for you guys. I was doing my research with you guys.
Yeah, but actually, there's something that actually stood out to me just now when you were mentioning about what you were doing. So you mentioned that you're doing in the AI domain, right? Currently.
Yeah.
So previously, the other domains, maybe possibly one that you were actually in was connectivity.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
what are there?
That's the title of it. Yes.
Connectivity. So are there some key differences like for you when you're working in these two different domains?
Domain knowledge.
Like as a
The
PM
biggest thing.
perspective of
No. So I mean, sorry, joking. I'll give you a real answer. Straight talk. What is the difference? I think again, context, right? Within Workato, connectivity is kind of like the main engine, the driver of what keeps us going, right? And so when you're part of a product manager on a product or an area like that, the kind of considerations you have are very different, right? When I came in, first I had to learn all of that, but also like you're not necessarily building new shiny things. You're trying to keep a world-class engine running and maintaining it, and also kind of doing fixes on it while it's in flight. So that has its own set of challenges, which is markedly different from the AI stuff that I'm doing, because that's building a new engine from scratch. It's thinking about a very different set of things. Like that was like, yeah, that's, just kind of making sure that is working well, and it is a huge challenge in and of its own right, to ensure that, yeah, this is like every person is interacting with it. The AI stuff is like something completely new. You're finding a new market. You're thinking about it very differently from a strategic perspective. While this is like, you don't have to ever convince anyone this is important. Everybody knows it. The company relies on it. Your job is to make sure it does not fall apart. And so that has a very different kind of skill set that you develop. The kind of day-to-day is very different. The kind of like, that's why I love my job. I keep changing my day-to-days. But yeah, and so you just kind of approach it and attack it in a very different manner. So yeah, very, very different, I would say. Don't get me wrong, you still have things you learn there that you carry over, always exist. It's just different.
I mean, I love the fact that you're doing something new every single day. I mean, you not every day, but like.
No, it's every day.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I was
That's
just in Seattle, and I was there for a week for sales kickoff. And so every day I was doing trainings with the team over there, and I was teaching them part of the product. And then that's like 1 week of my life, and then the next week I was doing something completely different. This last week I was gearing up for launch, so I was doing like product marketing stuff and demos and write-ups and a whole different set of things. And next week is quarterly planning, and so I'm going to do a whole different set of things. It's just like a lot. You're just constantly cycling through different parts of your brain, and you're just like, I think that is so important actually, is like context switching to do it well. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure like no one wants to like a monotonous job where you just keep doing the exact same thing again.
Hey man, some people.
I mean, some people do, but
don't get me
it's-
wrong. It's not only that. I think it's not to put down that. I think there's like a difference in the kind of skills you develop. You kind of hone it,
That's
right?
right.
Like you wouldn't want a doctor to be changing their thing every day. Like I mean, come on, guys. Like it applies only to a very small group of people who should be doing this. Everybody else better be doing their job, right? Otherwise, we're all in big trouble. Yeah.
Okay, so thinking about whether it's a current role right now or what you were in previously in connectivity, what are like some challenges that you face, whether it be projects or like in day-to-day?
I think there's like a different set of challenges, and I think recently at the sales kickoff I heard something which was good. Was like like nothing ever gets easier. You just do hard better, and so and you just get more stuff at you, so you just constantly get better.
Yeah.
But I think like when I first joined, there was obviously understanding what being a PM meant, because I had never done it before.
Right.
Yeah, I remember I read the entire Cracking the PM's interview book in like one night or 2 nights right before my interviews, and I was just like, let's go. Read 2 of those books, I think. Yeah, but yeah. I think like when I first started like understanding the domain and like understanding, you know, how you think about these things is like, I guess, a key challenge, right? Stakeholders and stuff. I think now is a very different set of challenges in thinking about strategy, about vision, about taking things from 0 to 1. Is a very different set of considerations, I guess, than, you know, keeping something up and running. Yeah, and, you know, there's always something to. And I think one of the things that I remember reading, which is so true, and I talked to all of my colleagues as well, who were like PMs, even elsewhere, it's like the first thing you have to realize, the day you realize that you will never finish your to-do list, is the day you've become a PM. It's like every day I have a to-do list, and then it keeps going. I check off 1, 2 things. At the end of the week, I just like half the to-do list is not done. I just throw it away, and I do a new one next week because it's a whole new week. Yeah, just one of those things. Yeah.
I mean, apart from work, let's talk more about your personal stuff.
Yeah, okay, so what does that about you guys? Anybody? Is this a safe space?
I see you have invested your time and effort in Equitech Collective.
Yeah.
So, could you tell us more about your role there and, you know, and
that just sounds like more work, man. I thought we were going to talk about me watching movies. Yeah, I'm reading books. But no, Equitech. So that is something I started earlier this year, through a set of fortunate coincidences, for sure. What do I do there? It's a very good question. They're on a big team, right? And so, but they really think about doing like this kind of work as a tech startup, right? That is the mindset they have. The person who's the founder there also kind of approaches it from that manner. And so they operate very lean, and they're primarily focused on tech. Right, over there, I am kind of helping flesh out, again, 0 to 1, one of these new programs, which is around like a coding bootcamp and like identity-based solutions, which is why I know a bit about crypto and identity for Myanmar migrants and refugees along the Thai-Myanmar border. Because since the coup that has been over there, they've been displaced and they've kind of come into Thailand and they have no real kind of access to not full access, I guess. And so we're just trying to focus our works over there. And so part of Equitech, I do a bit of partnerships. I went on a trip after my Seattle. I was in the Thai-Myanmar border, just came back, which is why my timings were very strict about what I can and cannot do. Yeah, I was over there at this place called Mesa alongside some potential funders, and that was a week of my life as well, going through, learning a lot more about the place, talking to people there and thinking about programs that would benefit them, and how we can help. So that is partnerships, programs, is kind of how I would portray myself for the things I do there. But yeah, I think it's very similar. You just it's always problem solving, right? I think that's what being a PM is anyways. Framing a problem, finding like the right questions to ask and then answering it. Yeah.
Definitely. I love the fact that you have something aside from your actual job, so you're taking out time to like work for this like social.
I mean, I was not doing that. Before that as well, I was having a good life, guys. Wait. Oh yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, for sure.
Okay. So where do you see yourself in the next like 5 years?
You know, I saw that question and I was like, I'm gonna rant, because I was like, I don't know. I don't think anybody should know where you. I mean, okay, that's not true. You should know, but I wouldn't know, right? I think I never have an answer for this question. I do performance review and they're like, where do you see yourself in 2, 3, 5? I'm like, I don't know.
I feel the same way.
I think it's okay to not have an answer. I've made my peace with it, and I do not think about it as a terrible thing ever. For me, the way I approach plans is more about coming up with a set of values and operating what I call life operating principles that I abide by, and then everything else is just life happening to you, right? So I don't really have a 5-year plan. I might not be a PM, I might be a gardener, I don't know, right? I don't know. I think life can take you in many different ways. I think one of the coolest people I've met, like her profile was super fun. Like she did public policy, economics, started a company, went to Google, does research policy at OpenAI, just all over the place. And when you think about it, you're like, how? But really, you're just thinking about I want to solve a problem. It doesn't matter how I do it, as long as I can do it well and I can solve that problem well, right? I think to me as well, even right now, being a PM is about solving problems, and tech is a solution. That's how a PM doesn't have to be that way. Sometimes processes might be the ways you go into ops, or policy. So really, I think to me that is how I would. So I have no answer for you in that sense. I have made my peace with how I want to think about things I evaluate, of course. But yeah. So what about you guys? 5-year plan. Let's go. Wait, you would have graduated by then. So let's see you guys out. What would you like
to be honest, I'm kind of a person who's put myself
So you
everywhere.
what?
I'm kind of a person who puts myself everywhere. Like, I'm always doing something.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
fair
not
enough.
easy. Like even the part-time internship I'm doing right now, I didn't see it coming. I didn't know I'm gonna but 5 years from now, I also don't have an answer for that. But
Putting these questions together, you gotta have your own answers, guys. I'm sorry, I will not accept that. I'm never guessed here.
5 years from now, I mean, definitely want my full-time job, but definitely something investment. Something investment.
Investments. So like VC?
Yes, VC or PE.
Wow, you're gonna PE is the bane of existence. I don't like you very much anymore. Let's go. Oh, you guys buy the companies and sell them for parts. That's the definition of PE. Okay, what about you?
I'd say 5 years time. I'd like to have a dog.
Dude, up dog. That's how you roll. That's what breed?
A goldie would be.
Dude, again up dog. You have a name picked out?
Oh, not yet.
Oh, I have a name picked
I think
out.
that has to be the vibe, like you see the.
No, I think like if I have more dogs, yes, but like the first dog has to be named Silver, and it's gonna be Goldie. It's just gonna be it's one of those things that I decided a long time ago. Yeah, so I think it's great. Yeah, I think definitely things that we figure out in life as they come along, except dogs.
Yeah. I mean, it's nice to like have like a future plan for like.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. So like even.
I mean, are you guys like go to BTO and stuff? Yes, you should have a 5-year plan.
I think
Please.
even the viewers like watching, I think they are all like planning ahead for the futures, and I think something that's transforming in the future will definitely be AI. That's something that has been always been talked on about. And given that, I'm not sure, have you seen the graduate employment survey recently?
I have actually. I do keep track.
Yeah. So I mean.
Do you know how little I get?
Yeah. So I think a lot of people are actually like looking at the survey and like wondering like, is this legit? Like, are they actually giving real data? It's quite. I think some can.
No, but I think like even right now in computing, you've already passed the peak.
Yeah.
Right, like compared to the years preceding mine, you see the growth, and then especially even for like business analytics, it's actually gone down now. The median's gone down from the year before, and so. I mean, the numbers seem legit, but also if you look at the respondent rate, that's gone down. I look at guys, I have data. I do my research properly. So the level of detail for sure. I mean, so I guess it's definitely making a huge impact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how do you feel that especially since now you're working as a full-time role, not as a student, right? And now you're looking at this survey, and perhaps now probably as a full-timer, like as someone that's working full-time, in terms of what employers are actually looking for now, has there been a change? Has there been a shift?
There has been a shift, really. I think it's just right now there's so many people for a narrower set of things that just kind of sucks all around. But to answer your question about AI, so I can't speak about software engineering. I wouldn't know that landscape. I mean, I think tools like Cursor and Windsurf are completely changing the paradigm work operates for sure. So caveat, I have no idea how that looks. Okay, I can only speak from what I know, right? But I would say that people are not fundamentally going to be looking at things differently, right? Even I think AI, I view personally, and the people I'm around view AI as a tool. Right, like it makes you do your job better and faster. So it would just mean probably that previously that if you did like an orbital project or remember a random school project, you would be expected to deliver 3 features. Now you would expect to deliver 10. Right? I think it's just the expectation is that you have an access to a tool that can supercharge the way you work. The barrier just goes up. It's really not going to be something that is going to be completely different. It's just going to be like. The guy next to you uses AI super well, so has a much better thing built out than you do. And so if you don't use it well, you're not going to be competing against that person in these forums or scenarios with the same level of efficacy that you could be, right? So I view AI as a tool, right, to approach many different things. Of course, that is the beauty of it. It really has a broad range and impact, but it's a tool at the end of the day, right? Is it going to take over the world? Skynet, if you're listening, I'm sorry. I believe in you. Yeah, so I mean, because I've interacted a lot with it, I do believe in the trajectory that is going towards. Yeah. Do you guys believe in the singularity? Will we see it in our lifetimes?
I mean, if you guys actually been looking at the news, NVIDIA actually they showed the robot that's like like WALL-E. They actually collaborated with Disney. Then they have like a robot that actually like moves and listens to commands like like the movie Disney.
No, I know WALL-E, dude. I know WALL-E. Don't get me wrong.
It's actually like that, and it even speaks like I don't get why they don't want to put like human language, but they speaks in some robotic language.
Oh, but that's intentional.
Yeah, so
for the gimmicky.
Yeah, so like seeing things like this actually coming to real life, like something I've seen like in 15 years ago, 10 years ago, like on a film that this kind of thing.
Have you seen like the Boston Dynamics robot video, which is doing like a cartwheel or something?
Yeah.
With like agility and dexterity tests. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But so singularity, what's your answer?
Honestly, I still feel like humans are still.
No, that's not the question. Is will AI reach singularity?
But at the end of the day,
you know what singularity means. I want to
but
caveat that. Okay.
I feel that at the end of the day, the ones that have the control.
Yes or no? I want a yes or no answer. You're on the blog. This is you. Yes or no? Singularity.
Unfortunately, I feel like yes.
Okay. Yes. What about you?
I would say no.
No. Okay. Interesting.
I've seen AI. I mean, it's taking so long to train it. As in, you can't get the human. It's a very like common opinion. You can't get the human like
touch.
Kind of touch, yes, or like even like the response.
But you don't. Why does AI need to conform to human-based interaction patterns to achieve singularity?
Okay, that's true.
Right, that is something we are projecting onto it, right? I was reading this thing today, which was like AI writes complicated verbose code, right? Or like writes it makes everything too fragmented, and then the response to that someone was like, yeah, because humans can only keep track of 50 or 100 things at once. AI can keep track of all of it. Why does it have to follow your predefined notions if it reaches singularity?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
Something to think about. Food for thought.
Definitely.
It can't do poetry or art or philosophy. That's true. So that I will concede.
That sort of thing is more like human connection, kind of human vibes kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, it would be a very sad day. I remember seeing this Miyazaki, the Studio Ghibli guy. He had a thing where he was like, someone was showing him AI drawing that you give it a drawing and it does an animation. And he just furious walked out, and he was like, "What are you guys doing?" Right? And I agree. That to me is also a valid reaction. Right? It should make some of my life easier. Get rid of echoes in this setup.
Yes.
That's what it should be doing, right? It shouldn't be taking it over. But okay. Yeah. So that's pretty fun.
Anytime ever since you started working in PM and like AI, for example, is there any moment where you felt that AI will take a job away?
Would AI take my job away? I mean,
you're working.
I think I remember. First of all, I don't know if you guys do this, but like Lenny's Lenny's Substack, shout out, I don't get any kickback, he's huge. But Lenny's product newsletter is probably one of the first things I would recommend to read about for PM stuff. It's a fantastic resource. Sometimes the guests on the podcast contradict themselves, which is why I try not to give advice, but on this one. But I think he gave a very great analysis of it, right? There's a lot of work that especially PMs do, which is like busy work, right? Which is like taking something which was like in one document and then like transforming it in some sense and putting it for a different audience in a different document. I mean, it does require some degree of skill, but like really just understanding the document and like the context it has to go into, right? There's a lot of these things which are like busy work, which I imagine, I already do to some degree. I try and use AI to like power some of it, right? I just put like a brain dump and I go, hey, fix it for me, please. Please, always say please. Always say please and thank you to AI when it takes over. They will remember, okay, so just remember that. But so I think that part of it will, I think, start to lessen more and more. But I think a couple of things will happen. It's already happening. The most important skill that I think PM has is building trust and stakeholder management. That AI is not going to replace, right? Any amount of framing something, like if you want to understand a market and then like put it in a certain way and then interpret it, that interpretation is going to be yours, and that is something that you have to do. That's not going to disappear. Of course, it will help you analyze more information faster. Possible, likely happening. But those things which are like building trust, convincing your engineering manager to let you do something crazy, if those things will not go away, AI is not going to solve that, right? So that part of it. But what the flip side of that happens then is that a PM is expected to handle more, deliver more, right? Exactly what I was saying, right? If you're going to have someone who does 10, you're going to pick someone who can do that. The same happens for a PM. Like each day I wake up and it's more. I mean, it happens everywhere, right? You just have like, you're expected to do more, and I think that is going to be the byproduct of AI. I think to any role, there are going to be some roles I think which are under attack more aggressively. Customer support tends to be top of mind. I think people are really going after it. I don't know why people decided it, but it is what it is, right? Sure, potential there, I would say, for AI to do like a lot more. But I mean, if you ever argue to those AI agents, like it gets frustrating real quickly. Like, just give me a human, please. I want my problem solved, right? Like it does often come down to that, right? And so knowing when to use AI, even the best company which does best customer support will know when to use AI and when to stop it and to pass you over to a human, right? And so will you need as many humans? Maybe not, right? So that remains to be seen.
I see.
Yeah.
I mean, speaking of AI, I feel like in our generation, especially like
you guys wait, pause. Yeah, let me time out. You guys grew up in a very different university than I grew up in. I had to go and crap out 40-page reports with no ChatGPT. Look at me. Look at the pain I suffered. Come on, like guys, it was a whole different world. I was like my friends 2 years after me. They're like, yeah, man, I put in ChatGPT. There's something called something zero, and you just put it inside that. What is it called? Cloud zero, something zero, GPT zero, which cleans up everything for you. So it passes through all of the goddamn detectors. I'm like, come on, this cannot be happening. You guys have not felt the horror, the trauma, or the pain where you have one day to write an essay on something called truth and truths, and you're just crapping stuff out for your philo mod. You don't have that. You go to AI and I'm like, do it for me. Come on, it's a very different. You guys have grown up in a very different. University has been a very different experience.
Yeah,
I would say.
I feel like it's true. So, which is why I want to like check in with you, like as a, I'm pretty sure you have used generative AI like ChatGPT.
Now, sure.
Now, or even
they're like traumatized. Which is why I don't want to come around. You guys are saying, oh, happy. No. I'm just looking at these people and go, yeah, I have like Claude open here, I have GPT open here, like transposing these two.
I mean, at the end of the day, I feel that AI is just there to give you some prompts and assist in a sense, because I'm not sure, there's also been a saying that AI has a tendency to hallucinate themselves.
Nah, it's getting way better, man. I mean, sure, I can't answer what is the capital of Australia. It says Sydney. Boo-hoo. I mean, you can't sit here and actually expect me to believe that you think hallucination is a problem. Come on, guys. You guys use it all the damn time. Everyone, I use it all the time. Is really hallucination a problem? I use it as a tour guide. I was in Cambodia and I would switch it on and be like, hey, I'm walking past Angkor Wat, give me fun facts. It's great, and I can start quizzing it. I'm like, I see something over here, I don't understand what it is. Answer me, and it does. And you switch on search mode, it actually gets that information out to you, which is based on articles that exist. Sure, are those articles wrong? Then we're just in a never-ending game of what is true and what is not. Yeah, let's go.
Are there any frustrating moments where you were using AI and it gives you the answers that never really like
captures the essence?
You don't want to go back to it again.
So, that's a good question. But
I mean, you definitely have this sort of like.
No, for sure. I think everyone does. I think that very quickly you realize whether AI can help you in that specific task or not. Like sometimes I'm like, hey, can you rewrite that? Can you restructure that? It doesn't do the job right, and I just take over, right? I think for me, at least the way I use it, or personally, is like either I have an entire bullet point outline or one draft, which is like a word dump. Because that's the way I grew up. It's just a word dump, and then I send it to AI to clean up. I'm like, hey, fix it for me. Like, hey, like, see where I'm missing stuff. I then say, hey, take on the persona of my boss. Grill it. Find mistakes. Find where I'm making leaps of logic. Ask me like what I'm missing out on, right? And it starts commenting stuff for me to look at. I think that's one approach which I think works very well. The flip side of it is I think AI can't do synthesizing very well. Like capturing the essence of something, the ability to churn out garbage endlessly, perfect. it does it really well. But like to say something that someone will say in 4 sentences in one, that it can't do. And that is an even harder skill to master. To be succinct, to capture it well. And that's a really good skill to have across almost anything in communication, right? So that's sort of thing, I can't do well. And I don't know if it can do it well in a reasonable time frame that we see. When singularity, who knows,
Agreed. So, there's a very last question for you.
Okay, got it.
So, do you have any advice for like...
Wait, I have to go and ask you guys questions. Sorry, pause. Before you ask me my last question, what were you guys? So, how do you use AI in your day-to-day?
I'll say.
No, you can be honest. We will make sure your profs don't say.
My prof is.
Yeah, this does not count. This is not legally admissible.
It's okay.
In any
Prof is giving my grades already. So.
Oh yeah, before he sees this, before the edit comes out. Okay.
Yeah. I'll say most of the time. I think what I usually do is actually not really asking AI to generate me things. It's more of like what you say. Like I have a.
Wait, but you said you code. Why wouldn't you ask it to generate you things?
No, so like what usually we have is like you take a friend's codes.
And then you're like change all the variables for me.
Yeah, so you're like,
no, this is some next level shit, guys.
So like,
I was doing command that.
So you have like your own code, like that you taught yourself, and you have like your friend's codes. So you like input it to AI. So like, okay, these are my codes that I have, and this is my friend's code. Sieve out the errors that I might have, and what my friend did properly, and then give me out a new code that.
Wow!
Yeah, so it will just.
That is impressive. That is top-notch use of AI. I will give it to you. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So
I didn't even know you could. Wow.
So that's something that I
you see what I mean? You guys are going to a different university than I went to. Like
yes, that day is quite a while back. So I think I'm quite past the stage of regret. So yeah.
I should do that for my exchange mod. For me, I do something really similar to yours. I have a word down. Like for example, I had a guest lecture today, and my prof says, "Oh, give me a summary of the lecture that day's assignment." I hope prof doesn't see this before I get my grades.
Wait, I mean, any prof knows that as a student generating summary is going to use AI. Like, come on.
My input will be my perspective because I make the notes first, so I would just take.
But there are so many amazing transcript apps that I use to take, like, to record for me notes. Maybe after this, I'll show you some. I'll show you some cool apps. I mean, you guys can then send it out later. But I think there's like, never mind. There's an app called Granola. Granola AI. It's amazing. It's just been picking up. It's a startup, funded really well as well now. But it's amazing because you don't actually have to like be recording in a Zoom call kind of a thing. You just switch it on. It takes the audio from your laptop as it is. And the best part is like you can type in your notes as well, and it will like interplay it. So like whatever it recorded and whatever bullet points you put, headers you put, it will fill it based on that. So that's really cool. Like especially when I talk along. So I want to be engaged with someone, but I can't be taking notes as well. It's fantastic for scenarios where you're like really going at something. So
I should try it.
Yeah, you should.
I should try it because
20 free things for you to try that.
Okay.
It's enough lectures for you to get by Sam. Yeah.
I mean, there's another one, Perplexity. I don't know if you've heard of it.
I've heard of it.
You get the sources right with the
answer
that it gives, right? So it's like much easier to do like references and stuff as well.
Right. I think Perplexity. I don't end up using it a lot personally because I don't even use Google much anymore. But yeah, that's true. I maybe I should use Perplexity more.
I think it's a very source-based answer. So even if it's just like going to consolidate all your searches in one. So like if you don't want to do like different spend like 2 hours researching.
Wait, why not try? Have you guys tried deep research?
No.
Not really.
Dude, that's amazing. Like I remember doing deep research. Like I was doing it for the NG a bit, and I was like, it was me trying out the actual. I wanted to use the tool, so I forced myself to use it. That is something I think I would recommend doing. It's like force yourself to use AI, even though you know you can do it. That's especially the best time to try and use it to see how good it is. At least for me personally, because I work in the domain and I have to really use all these products well to build better products and to be a better person, like working well. Forcing yourself to use it. So anyways, deep research. You just click it on and then it just like spends 6 minutes going through, but it just recursively searches stuff for you and it's really cool. It goes to like 40 different websites and gives you answers. Like gives you like a completely detailed synthesis of what you're trying to achieve. So like a lot of like these, give me a market analysis of blah 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 questions are over. You can just put it into deep research.
I should do that.
Yeah,
that's
pretty
my
cool.
guys take notes. That's a good tool. Okay, so with that, our very last question.
Okay, yes. Okay, now with that. Thank you. Now I accept. You can ask me the last question.
Okay, so do you have any advice for aspiring product managers? Aspiring product managers.
I think I'm capable of giving advice.
No, or even like, for example, for me, I have no background in like product management at all. So like, what advice would you give to them who want to go into it?
What advice would I give to someone who is thinking about going into product management? I would say go out and build things that you care about, and like I think this applies anywhere, anything. I think it's the same advice I got when I was thinking about NSE and startups, and ever since then I'm doing product as well. Is like go out and build something that actually matters. It can be something small, right? It doesn't have to be crazy, but the fact that you build something that people actually want to use and care about at any scale, it can be 5 people. But the things that will teach you and the way you will actually be able to articulate yourself when talking about something real is very different and very easily distinguishable than someone who's just talking about a project or something that did not actually care about. The amount of effort, attention to detail and things you would put into things you care about shows, right? And so when you would go out, it can driver thing, right? That could be a potential, but you don't have to end up building it. You don't have to actually get LT's approval. But if you go out and talk to 20 people actually and be like, these are why they hate it. They hate the current process, and this is what I came up with, and this is how it would look like, right? Well, in any of these scenarios, right? Product is one thing, but in anything, as long as you do something that you're passionate about, and that's what I've done. I've always done things that I like to do. It does not have to lead you in a certain path. You just have to do it with like the right mindset, that you're doing it in that moment is with the right approach. And then you will start to see things that carry over into anything, right? Software engineering, data analytics, research even. The thing I learned from research was like, man, I hate it. But it also taught me how to like persist on stuff. It taught me how to, do nothing but stare at maths. And you get through it, right? I think it's really, each of these things, you will always have some takeaways that can flow over into anything else that you want to do. But as long as you do it with the right intention. If you do not have the right intention, anything that you will do will not look legit. Legit sounds like the wrong word, but so I guess that's my advice. Like, do something you care about and do it well.
Alright, thank you so much for that advice. On behalf of the viewers, thank you so much for the advices that you gave us. And it was really great to have you with us here today for our podcast and share about your experiences and and I hope that our viewers and even ourselves have a broader perspective on PM and AI itself.
Okay, I hope so too.
The questioning too.
I have to do it, guys. I can't live like this.
It's lovely because we get to share more about ourselves as well. So like viewers are like getting 2 perspectives.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. And I think, it would be also good to know, right? Like I think, we should have done that. I think it's like, what would actually make, like you asked me for advice, right? But like, how many people want to break into product? I get it, it's a product podcast, but like really, there's like so many more important things in life, I guess.
And with that, we've come to the end of the episode. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at NES Product Club and check out our website at www.nesproductclub.com for more updates. Also, you can click here to watch our previous episodes. Thank you. Bye.